Peace and light, my dear ones. Welcome to another video here on the Light Within channel. Today, I've brought a message that will touch your heart. You know that feeling of always trying to please people who, no matter what you do, never seem to truly understand you. That exhaustion from explaining yourself, trying to prove your worth, justifying your choices and still feeling that it's not enough. If you've ever felt this video is especially for you. Because today, we're going to talk about a powerful truth. You were chosen, and because of that, many people will never fully understand you, and that's perfectly okay. Before we begin this journey of liberation together, I'd like to ask you to please leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Each subscription is a sign that this message needs to reach more chosen hearts like yours. Now, let's begin. Let's start by understanding why we, as human beings, have such a strong need to be approved by others. From an early age, we learn that being accepted is important. We grow up seeking approval from parents, teachers, friends, and this isn't necessarily bad. After all, we are relational beings created to live in community. The problem begins when this search for approval transforms into a prison. When we start shaping who we are, what we do, and even what we believe just to please people who deep down will never understand our essence and our calling. Have you ever stopped to evaluate how many decisions in your life were made thinking, what will others think? How many times have you silenced your inner voice, the one that comes from God, just to avoid causing discomfort to someone? How many times have you given up your divine calling to fit into others' expectations? The signs are everywhere. The constant fear of disappointing others, the anxiety before expressing an opinion, the feeling of living a life that isn't truly yours, the emotional exhaustion of trying to be different versions of yourself depending on who's beside you, and the price we pay is far too high. When we live to please others, we lose touch with our divine purpose. Our inner light begins to weaken. We feel an emptiness that no external approval can fill. Our emotional and spiritual health suffers. And worst of all, we distance ourselves from the perfect plan God has for us. I want to pause here and ask something special. Comment now about the last time you felt misunderstood for being chosen by God. Share that experience, because your story might be exactly what another brother or sister needs to read today to feel less alone on this journey. Did you know that all of God's great chosen ones throughout history were deeply misunderstood? Noah built an ark on dry land while everyone laughed at him. Joseph was sold by his own brothers because they didn't understand his divine dreams. David was despised, even by his own family. Jesus, the greatest example, was rejected by the very people he came to save. This misunderstanding isn't an accident. It's part of the chosen one's path. When you carry a divine calling, your life moves at a different frequency. Your priorities change. Your perception of the world transforms, and not everyone around you is prepared to accompany you on this journey. Understand one thing: it's not your responsibility to make everyone understand you. Some people are simply not at the same point in their spiritual journey as you. Others are so trapped in their own limited perceptions that they can't see beyond them. And that's okay. Jesus himself taught us that not everyone has ears to hear and eyes to see. Often the isolation we feel isn't rejection, it's divine protection. It's God creating a sacred space where we can develop our calling away from influences that could divert us. The desert precedes the ministry. Silence precedes revelation. Misunderstanding precedes the fulfillment of purpose. But how do you identify those people who will never understand you, no matter how hard you try? There are some clear signs. First, observe how these people react when you share your dreams and visions. If the immediate reaction is always doubt, discouragement, or even ridicule, pay attention. People who will never understand you tend to try to diminish your divine calling, not necessarily out of malice, but because they cannot see in the spiritual dimension you're operating in. Second, notice if there's a constant pattern where you always need to justify or explain yourself. Healthy relationships don't require you to prove your worth all the time. When you constantly need to defend your choices, your beliefs, and even your personality, that's a sign that this person may never truly understand who you are as a chosen. Third, observe how you feel after interacting with these people. Do you feel emptied, drained, confused about your purpose? Or do you feel strengthened, inspired, confirmed in your calling? The energy that remains after an encounter says a lot about that person's ability to honor who you are. It's important to distinguish between constructive criticism and spiritual rejection. People who truly love you may disagree with you and even point out areas for growth, but they'll do it from a place of love, respecting your essence and your path. Spiritual rejection, on the other hand, comes loaded with judgment, attempts to control and disrespect for your individual process with God. Why do some people resist your mission and calling so much? Often your light exposes areas of darkness that they're not ready to confront in themselves. Your commitment to your divine purpose might make them uncomfortable with their own choices. Your courage to follow a less conventional path might awaken in them the fear of their own comfort zones. Other times, these people are simply operating at a different level of spiritual consciousness. It's not that they're bad or want to harm you, it's that they're seeing only part of the picture that God is painting through your life. It's like trying to explain colors to someone who only sees in black and white. It's not their fault, and it's certainly not yours. So how do you free yourself from this exhausting need to please those who will never understand you? The first step is to recognize that your identity isn't in others' opinions, but in what God says about you. You were chosen before the foundation of the world. Your name is engraved on the Creator's palms. No human opinion has the power to change this. When you deeply internalize this truth, the need for external validation begins to lose its strength. The second step is to develop discernment about which relationships are worth investing your emotional energy in. I'm not saying to cut people out of your life. I'm saying to adjust your expectations. Understand that not everyone is destined to understand all dimensions of who you are. Some will know you superficially, others a bit more deeply, and only a few will have the privilege of truly understanding your heart and your calling. And that's perfectly fine. The third step is learning to create healthy boundaries without losing love. Jesus taught us to love everyone, but we also see that he measured how much he shared with different people. With crowds, he spoke in parables. With disciples, he revealed deeper interpretations. With Peter, James, and John, he shared even more intimate moments. You don't need to cast your pearls before those who won't value them. This isn't pride. It's wise management of the spiritual treasure God has entrusted to you. The fourth step is to redirect all that energy you spent trying to please others toward fulfilling your divine purpose. Imagine how much more you could advance in your calling if you channeled all that effort into what truly matters. When you commit to your purpose, you'll naturally attract people who resonate with your mission. It's the law of spiritual attraction, like attracts like. The fifth step is to remember that even Jesus, perfect in everything, didn't please everyone. If the Son of God faced misunderstanding and rejection, who are we to expect universal approval? The truth is that when you're aligned with your divine purpose, you'll inevitably disturb those who are comfortable with the status quo. Your obedience to God will sometimes be interpreted as rebellion by the systems of this world. And that's not failure. It's confirmation that you're on the right path. I want to share a liberating truth with you. The approval that really matters has already been guaranteed on the cross. God has already approved you, already chosen you, already declared that you are enough, not by your merits but by Jesus' sacrifice. You don't need to earn what has already been freely given to you. Many chosen ones spend their entire lives trying to prove their worth to people who will never have eyes to see who they really are. And in this desperate search for validation, they end up neglecting the unique calling God has placed in their hearts. The truth is that when you stop trying to please everyone and start living authentically as God's chosen one, something wonderful happens. You attract the right people into your life. Those who should truly walk beside you will recognize your light and celebrate your calling without you needing to explain or justify yourself. Perhaps you're wondering, but what if I lose important people by being who I really am? It's a legitimate concern. Relationships can indeed change when you decide to honor your calling above others' approval. Some bonds may strengthen, others may loosen, but remember, those who truly love you will love the real you, not the version you created to please them. And for those who distance themselves because they can't accept your authenticity and divine purpose, pray for them with love, not with resentment or superiority, but with the genuine understanding that everyone has their own time and path. Who knows, maybe one day they'll return to your life with a new level of understanding. Meanwhile, focus on being faithful to what God has placed in your heart. Live according to the values you know are true, even when no one is applauding. Speak the words that the Holy Spirit places on your lips, even when they're met with resistance. Walk in the direction God is pointing, even when it seems like you're walking alone. One thing I can guarantee you, you're never truly alone. Wherever there's a chosen one honoring their calling, there's a celestial army by their side. There are spiritual brothers and sisters, perhaps in other parts of the world, facing similar challenges and fighting the same spiritual battles. And above all, there's a God who will never, ever abandon or forsake you. Think about the great names of faith who changed the world. All of them had to, at some point, make the difficult decision to stop pleasing people in order to please God. All of them faced the loneliness of being misunderstood. All of them had to find strength, not in external approval, but in the internal conviction of their divine calling. You weren't called to be understood by everyone. You were called to be faithful. You weren't chosen to please the crowd. You were chosen to fulfill a purpose that transcends human opinions. In practice, how does this translate into your daily life? Start by identifying in which areas of your life you've compromised your authenticity to gain approval. Is it in your career, family relationships, circle of friends, church? Recognize these patterns with honesty and courage. Then begin taking small steps toward liberation. Maybe it's expressing an opinion you would normally keep to yourself. Maybe it's establishing a boundary you've always been afraid to set. Maybe it's following a direction God is showing you, even knowing that not everyone will understand. Each small act of courage builds the muscle of authenticity. Remember that this journey isn't about becoming indifferent to the people around you. It's about finding a healthy balance between loving others and being faithful to your calling. It's possible to honor your divine purpose without becoming arrogant or disconnected. Jesus showed us this path perfectly. He never abandoned his mission to please people, but he also never stopped loving humanity deeply. As you advance on this journey of liberation, you'll see that many of the fears that kept you bound to the need for approval were unfounded. The sky doesn't fall when someone disagrees with you. The world doesn't end when you disappoint others' expectations. In fact, a new dimension of peace and purpose opens up when you finally free yourself from this burden. And perhaps most surprising of all, when you stop trying so desperately to be understood and simply start living in your truth, you often end up being understood in a way you never achieved when you were trying so hard. There's an authenticity that resonates with people on a much deeper level than any attempt to please ever could. Another important thing, having discernment about who will never understand you doesn't mean judging these people's worth. It simply means recognizing that God has different purposes for different lives, and not everyone is destined to walk side by side with you in all dimensions of your journey. Some people are in your life for a season, others for a specific reason, and only a few for a lifetime. Often the resistance we encounter isn't about us, but about the other person's moment. Someone who can't understand you today may, years later, go through experiences that expand their perspective. That's why keep your heart open even while protecting your purpose. Never underestimate the transformative power of time and God's grace in people's lives. In the end, being chosen by God means carrying a vision that not everyone will be able to see. It means hearing a melody that not everyone will be able to distinguish. It means walking paths that few will have the courage to tread. And that is exactly the beauty and burden of your calling. I imagine that hearing these words, many of you are feeling a mixture of relief and apprehension. Relief from realizing there's nothing wrong with you for being misunderstood. Apprehension about the challenge of really living this truth day to day. Know that both feelings are completely valid and part of the journey. I want to encourage you. Today, give yourself permission to be fully who God created you to be, without excuses, without justifications, without dimming your brightness to make others feel comfortable. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs the original version that only you can offer. You were chosen not despite your uniqueness, but because of it. Your unique experiences, your particular sensitivity, even your challenges and scars, all of this is part of the divine equipment for the mission that only you can fulfill. When you try to fit into molds created by others, you're not only betraying yourself, but also depriving the world of the unique impact that only you can make. We've reached the end of this moment together, and I sincerely hope this message has touched you deeply. Being chosen by God is an indescribable honor, but it also brings unique challenges, and misunderstanding is certainly one of them. But today, I want you to leave here with this truth engraved in your heart. You don't need to dim your light to make others feel comfortable. Your mission is to shine, not to please. Your call is to obey God, not to meet human expectations. And when you live in this freedom, something wonderful happens. You not only honor your divine calling, but also inspire others to do the same. Know that I'm praying for you, that you find strength to break free from patterns of seeking approval that have limited your potential. That you feel the peace that comes from knowing that the only opinion that truly matters was established on the cross. That you walk in full confidence of your value as God's chosen one. If this video touched your heart, share it with someone you know needs to hear this message today. Sometimes, all that a misunderstood chosen one needs is to know they're not alone on this journey. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming content. Remember, you weren't created to blend in with the crowd. You were chosen to stand out. Live this truth without fear and without excuses. The light God placed in you is too strong to be hidden. Peace and light, my dear ones. See you in the next video.